Hey everybody, welcome back to a very impromptu video featuring just one half of Backlog Banter actually being myself, Abram. Now, Tucker doesn't know I'm recording. This is a surprise. He's gonna fucking pop onto YouTube and he's gonna say, hey, there's a new Backlog Banter video here that I don't know about. And it's me getting him back because that motherfucker has put out 2 videos on his own, both of which are absolutely awesome reaction videos. I'm going to link them below. Go check them out if you haven't. If you're watching this, you probably have seen them both because they're some of our better performing videos, which makes me angry. But they're very good content, so I'm going to get them back with this one, boys. Because today, we just hit 64 subscribers on YouTube. Now, that is a completely unremarkable number. However, 64, right? So, what better opportunity than now to talk about the Nintendo 64, specifically Star Fox 64, which is one of my favorite games of all time, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it's not my number one, but it is my second favorite game of all time, which means I am rather impassioned about it. And I'm trying to get Tucker to play it, I'm trying to get him to talk about it, but he's being a fucking pleb about the whole matter and hasn't picked up a copy of it yet. So you're stuck with just myself. Now, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I want to respect your interests and respect the fact that you probably don't want to talk, too much about Star Fox 64, but that's a character flaw on your behalf. So I'm going to try to rectify that. I'm going to try to explain to you why Star Fox 64 is not only so special, but why you should be spending your time paying attention to it. Now, Star Fox has a bad reputation, right? But that's more of a modern phenomenon. You got to look back to the lens of the 90s, back to the year, I believe, of our Lord 1996, but that could be wrong. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to fucking Google things on the fly because Backlog Banter is all about having fun with your boys, taking it kind of casual. Look at that, 97. I was off by one whole year, 365 whole days. But the fact is, back in the 90s, Star Fox is really rocking it, right? Star Fox on SNES used some really interesting Mode 7 technology. It really pushed what was possible in that system when people were ready for what was next. And what was next was Star Fox 2, which never released until the SNES Classic, until that game then was ported from SNES Classic to Nintendo Switch Online. But the fact of the matter was, back in the 90s, you were waiting for more Star Fox. And you got that on Star Fox 64 on the N64, as I fucked up my words, which is not befitting of a game of this majesty. But we're all human, we're all just hanging out, talking about Star Fox. I'm not dressed very formally, not even wearing a t-shirt, under my sweatshirt. These things happen. These things happen. But Star Fox 64 came out and people were really over the moon about it, and it introduced the Rumble Pack. You want to fucking thank a game for a wonderful innovation in the industry. Rumble came from Star Fox, and that kind of wacky, right? It's kind of wacky. But the game itself is so much more than a vehicle to introduce Rumble to the industry. What it is a perfect, and I use that word fully. I have full emphasis. I'm not using that as a hyperbolic vehicle. I'm saying Star Fox 64 is a perfect vehicle. To use the word vehicle twice. Don't worry about it. A perfect vehicle 3 times for kinetic, arcadey gameplay that I think has never been topped in the, 23 years since its release. Now, what makes Star Fox so special is it's a game all about mechanics. It understands first and foremost that gameplay is king and that everything else is a secondary consideration. It's, to use a very, in vogue phrase, very much the icing on the cake. And that cake itself is a nice spongy cake, your vanilla cake, your chocolate cake, your marble cake, your fucking bunt pan items, like an angel food cake. That cake itself is the sturdiness and the rigidity of Star Fox Central Mechanics. It's not a very complicated game, right? It's a very simple on-rails shooter, very much about pattern recognition, very much about understanding level layouts, very much about becoming confident in mechanics, chaining together kills, chaining together various explosions, using your bombs, your lasers, your charge shots, upgrading, getting Rob 64 to drop you a little bit of help here and there, right? It's all about hitting a rhythm. It's very much a rhythmic experience. So people want to say, oh, rhythm games, right? They're all about getting in the zone, and we really don't take that kind of phraseology and apply that to other games, which I think is wrong, because a game like Star Fox 64 in a lot of ways feels like a rhythm game, because it's about getting into the flow, the beat of everything happening, and knowing where those enemies are going to be, and about charging those charge shots, and boom, hitting those point combos. And the way you do that is you play the game over and over and over again. I could probably close my eyes right now and tell you how to make your way through Star Fox 64, because it's a game that encourages replayability. And because of that, everything is so tightly designed to where you want to hop in over and over again, and you're never going to feel fatigued because it's just so elegant in that respect. It's a very elegant game. The developers really understood how to design these interesting set pieces that propel you through the experience. And of course, not only is it the tightness of the gameplay, the snappiness of the controls, how great it feels, how empowered you feel when you hit those point combos and that score goes way up. It's about the ambiance of Star Fox. It's about what it evokes. And what it evokes, for me, is a really interesting and campy take on the space opera. As a huge Star Wars fan, as a huge sci-fi fan, it's so interesting to see Nintendo take a spin on those tropes and to take, the space opera and throw animals in it, right? It's a ridiculous concept, but it works so well because the game strikes such a nice balance of self-seriousness and comedy. Love the dialogue. You can't not fall in love with the characters and the locations of Lylat. Team Star Fox, Team Star Wolf, everybody surrounding the encounters. It's so elegantly done and witty and charming, and it has great one-liners. Do a barrel roll. Don't be a dink slip, I often tell that to myself in my head. It's what keeps me focused. I pretend I'm a slippy toad and I'm being reprimanded by peppy hair. It's what gets me through the day. The fact is, it's iconic. Everything about Star Fox 64 is just iconic, and it coalesces in what I think is one of the best games Nintendo has ever released, and certainly my favorite Nintendo game. I just think that it fires on all cylinders. The gameplay, the presentation, the ambiance, the game feel, the controls, literally any metric you can hold Star Fox 64 up to, it does an ace job, stacking up. You can play it a lot of different ways, right? You got the cartridge, but you can also play it on 3DS, and that's a totally great way to play it. If you're going to play it on 3DS, have a great time. If you're going to play it on N64, have a great time. I prefer playing on cart, N64 controller in hand up on the big screen. I think that the scope of the experience warrants that. But play it on 3DS is how I've played more of the game, actually. I think it's a wonderful update. It uses the bottom screen in fun ways. The fact is, you can't go wrong playing Star Fox 64. You can go wrong playing Star Fox. You can end up playing fucking Star Fox 2. You can end up playing Star Fox Zero, which is a fine game. It's fine. You could play Assault, which is fine. Great multiplayer in Assault, but nothing has the whole package the way Star Fox 64 does. It even has good multiplayer. Great local multiplayer options for hopping in some R-Wings, having some good dogfights. Not as dynamic as Star Fox Assaults, but it's still iconic and fun. So that's basically all I have to say. I think I've ranted and raved at you for long enough about why I love Star Fox 64, and that's just one of the many N64 games I love. And considering this really is a 64 subscriber special, I'll just rattle off some other ones. You got your F-Zero X's, you got your Ocarina of Times, you got your Paper Marios, you got your Pokemon Snaps, you got your Pokemon Stadiums, you got your Mario Tennises. There are just so many wonderful games on the Nintendo 64. I can't get enough of it. It's my favorite console of all time. Hot take, I know, but I love it, and I really think that every Nintendo franchise was really just firing on every cylinder there. You want a great Mario game, you got it. Great Zelda game, you got it. You want a great Star Fox game, you got it. You want a great Kirby game, you got it. Yoshi game, you got it. You want Animal Crossing, you got it. Dabutsu no Mori, fucking import a copy. It's very easy to do. The fact of the matter is, the N64 is a wonderful little machine, and Backlog Banter is a wonderful little channel. We've had quite a spike in growth recently, and I'm very happy about it, very pleased. I want to thank a couple people. I want to thank the audience, of course, but I also want to thank Tucker. He doesn't know I'm doing this, but he's been putting in a lot of really fucking hard work on the production side, making things happen, bebopping and scatting as we do here at the channel. So I just want to thank him sincerely, and I want to thank everybody in the audience for putting up with our horse shit and sticking around. We got a lot of great content coming still, so don't fucking go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. But thanks for spending almost 10 minutes with just me. It's been very fun. We'll do it again soon. But with that, guys, go play Star Fox 64. Stop fucking listening to me, alright? Okay? I've had enough of you. I've had enough of you. I'm sure you've had enough of me. It's mutual. I get it. Talk to you later.